This is Mike Brewer behind the wheel. Automotive news, automotive advice, and tyre smoking fun. Join me, the Brit with the wit, and my car-loving co-host, Brad Fanshaw. Hello everyone, it's Mike Brewer behind the wheel, and I'm looking forward to taking you on a journey of motoring, expertise, fun, facts, and all the stuff that we embrace ourselves with, this wonderful hobby that we love, the classic car and motoring world. Now, together, we are going to go down this journey, but the man who always grabs the passenger door, and I do like travelling with him because he's always got the best snacks, he always shouts shotgun whenever I'm hitting the road, is my passenger, and he seems very willing. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Brad Fanshaw.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm all right, Brad, yeah. Ready for the journey?
I am. I'm always looking forward to these because you take us to the best places.
Anyway, let's hit the road.
Let's go.
So we're all buckled up, we're hitting the road, and me and Brad are on a journey again this week to take you to places we hope you've never been before, because this week we're going to be talking about Formula One that's coming to another place in America. We're going to be talking about the younger brother of the Dodge Demon, the SRT Hellcat that's making a return. Lincoln Mark 8 that went to auction. That's a great car we're going to be talking about. This is another record beater. So we're going to be talking about that. And when you've got a fast car, you need a fast place to go and test it. So we're going to be talking about the Bonneville Salt Flats. Brad knows a lot about that place. It's epic. It's something you can see from space. So we'll be doing that as well. Plus, we'll have a question from you, and we're kind of excited. So, Brad, we're all buttoned up. We're on the road. We're on this journey. Fortunately, me and you are going at a nice, sedate pace. We aren't tearing through the streets. We're not barking and shouting our engine notes and our exhaust notes off of walls and buildings around us, but we are likely to see that very thing in Miami as soon as 2019.
You know what? I'm excited about that because the thing that I always remember growing up was the Grand Prix of Miami, which I know wasn't Formula One, but it was the closest we had to that kind of racing through the streets back then. And in the 80s, it was so glamorous being in downtown Miami, and it was, you know, kind of that whole, I guess, Miami Vice type of a feel, Mike.
Yeah, brilliant. I mean, I've been to many Formula One races around the world, and I've got to say, really, the street circuits are the ones that really, I think, bring Formula One home. Everyone loves a track, and I do, but I find tracks can be a little bit numb, a little bit inane. But I think once you get into a street circuit, anything can happen. You know, you are feet away from a lamppost or a telephone kiosk or a shop front, a storefront, or a hotel reception. And I always think that cities have that dramatic appeal where you can get cameras on top of buildings looking down onto the circuit. I think it lends itself, Formula One, to those fantastic places like Monaco, you know, the Monte Carlo.
Oh, yeah.
Formula One is just epic. And just recently, we've had the Grand Prix in Azerbaijan, and that run through the streets of Azerbaijan, and it was amazing, absolutely amazing. So I think for Miami to be putting on a Formula One event in 2019, that is going to be epic. And the good news is they ain't doing this just for fun. They are actually thinking about signing a 10-year deal on this.
A decade of Formula One in Miami. And you know, along the lines of what you were saying, the other thing is that when they race in the streets, it almost elevates that sound because of the reverberation, doesn't it?
Hey, it does, yeah. And these modern cars don't have the sound of those V12s or V10s that I grew up with those turbo engines, screaming, shouting, 19,000 RPM. The modern V6 engine doesn't have the same exhaust note, but it has got a real loud screaming engine, and it's amplified when you're in amongst those tall high-rise buildings, standing there, hopefully, you know, with a beer in your hand, watching the likes of Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Bottas, all of those people screaming past you, speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour on roads that you'd be doing 30 normally. I mean, it's just absolutely epic to see.
Now, Mike, what do you think, just as a spectator and because you've been so immersed in the automotive world, why is it that now F1 is looking at bringing another race to America? Do you think it's because our tastes have elevated and it's showing that we've got enough people that are that interested in it, or are they just trying to expand the franchise?
Well, I think it's both of those, Brad. If I was to be honest with you, it's an expansion of the franchise, and people here are now getting used to it. We have that fantastic event in Austin, Texas, every year, and that's gone down a storm. I went to the Indianapolis Grand Prix, the Formula One Grand Prix a few times, and that was an amazing event. And the American audience, they really do grasp the world of Formula One. There are millions of Formula One fans in America. And I think Miami is the perfect showcase for it. Formula One is all about glamour, being cool. You want racing drivers walking down these wide boulevards with palm trees with their sunglasses on, sponsored logos all over them. They're the shots that Formula One are looking for, and that's what you're going to get in a town like Miami. It's going to be a little bit like Monte Carlo, but with that nice twist that you get with that American city. It's going to be brilliant.
It's going to be epic. I mean, I can't wait to see. And they're saying that they could be racing as soon as October of 2019. That's right around the corner.
Just a little note to anyone that's out there. My name is Mike Brewer, and this is our podcast, Behind the Wheel. And this is my co-presenter. His name is Brad Fanshaw. We are really acceptable to receiving 2 VIP passes for any kind of hospitality that anyone may be having where we can do our podcast from at the Grand Prix, the inaugural Grand Prix that you're going to have in Miami. Are you up for that, Brad?
I'm up for that, and I will, on your behalf, I will say that we will even be happy to present a champagne cheer to anyone who wants us to. We'll do that toast.
Oh, perfect. Yes, perfect. So anyone who's out there, we'd love to go along. But this wasn't a simple chat for free passes to go to the Formula One. No, this is a really serious thing. Both me and Brad are very, very keen motorsport enthusiasts.
Oh, yeah.
We go to as many Grand Prix or events as we possibly can. And this is one of those events that if you're in that area, if you're on the East Coast of America and you've never been to a Formula One race, I urge you, please buy a ticket, go. It is a spectacle. It's absolutely amazing. You'll see cars defying the laws of logic. When you're standing behind a Formula One car that's going through a series of S-curves, you will think that you're witnessing a car crash. But these cars are so sticky, they're so quick, they're so fast, that television just doesn't do it any justice. So I urge you to buy a ticket, go along, really enjoy yourself.
The U.S. version of Monaco. Well, maybe. It's
maybe.
It's going to be great though. I'm so looking forward to F1 coming back to the streets here in America because Austin's fantastic, but like you said, it's through the streets that really gets exciting because you just don't know what's going to happen, and it throws so much more in with those enormously motored and fabulously sounding F1 cars. So
absolutely. Now, Brad, get this right. So me and you, right? We're planning this already. So me and you are thinking we're going to go to an F1 race. Of course we are. We want to go and do it in America. So that doorstep. Of course we want to do it. But me and you were thinking, hold on a minute. We're in California. That means we have to get all the way across from the West Coast to the East Coast of America. I don't know how many miles that is, but I gather it's thousands of miles from California to Miami. It's going to be a long journey.
And we got to do it fast.
How many miles would that be, Brad?
From here to Miami, it's probably about, I'm going to say a good 1,900 miles.
Wow. Okay, so we're talking nearly 2,000 miles.
Yeah.
So if we was going to do 2,000 miles and we wanted to do it in something that, if we think the Grand Prix is going to be on, the qualifying is going to be Saturday around 1 o'clock, and I rung you on a Saturday morning. I went, hey, Brad, I think we should be somewhere today. And you'll go, oh, shoot, Mike, we should be at the Grand Prix in Miami. And we look down at our watch, and it's 7 o'clock in the morning. We've got no chance of getting there by 1 o'clock, unless we take one of very few cars in the world that can do a top speed of 200 miles an hour. And I'm going to tell you, we could be doing that because 2019 is going to see the return of the Dodge SRT Hellcat. And if I woke you up out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning and said, we need to be in Miami by 1 o'clock, me and you could stick our foot down on that 707 horsepower, 650 foot-pounds of torque from that 6.21 V8 engine at a top speed of 199 miles an hour, do you know what? I think we'd even have time to go for a drive-through.
Well, we may have to refuel while we go down the road. We'll have to get somebody to get a fuel truck and just kind of get it in, because I looked it up as we were talking. I was a little wrong. It's more like 2,500 miles. Or
wow,
2,700?
Okay.
2,700 miles. So we're going to have to leave a little bit earlier than we thought. You're going to have to get off work early.
We'll leave at 6 in the morning. I swear to God, we'll still make it. This car, Brad, right? Okay, from the light. So people like to go quick, okay, especially in America in the straight line. The Dodge Demon 800 horsepower car has just been announced. It's the fastest accelerating car on the planet, fastest car in the world. It accelerates faster than a P1 McLaren.
Isn't that amazing?
Just over yeah, amazing. From a great big muscle car, it gets from 0 to 60 faster than a hypercar. So that is incredible. So this is its younger brother. And this will go from 0 to a license losing 60 miles an hour. So you think about it. You got your driver's license. You want to protect it, but you just can't. You can't help but think, you know what? I'm going to get away from these lights quicker than that guy next to me in that Porsche 911. So I'm just going to show off as I accelerate from the lights, and I'm going to go 1, 2, 3.5 seconds, I'm already doing 60 miles an hour in just the shade of 3.5 seconds.
And the 2019 car, they've been teasing with some really, dramatic photography. But what you do see is they have made the hood bulge up even more, and they call it having 2 big nostrils. And it's big enough to, probably suck in small birds that are flying by if you're at full throttle.
Well, I'm going to tell you, this car is going to be an oxygen thief, okay? You look at those nostrils, it's a snout at the front of the car.
Yeah.
And this car will be, if me and you were standing around the front of that car, we would get altitude sickness, because this car is just going to, any oxygen that's going around, this car is going to snort it up, it's going to guzzle it into that big V8 engine, that 6.21 litre, and it is going to just explode it like you cannot believe when it mixes with the fuel. I'm excited by this car. I'm a big fan of American muscle cars. This is one of those cars that is going to be in a price point that most people can afford. It's not going to be supercar money. It's not going to be hypercar money. This is going to be a car that you'll be able to go into your local Dodge dealer and you'll be able to buy one on the showroom floor.
Now,
drive it away quicker than you've ever driven in your life. 3.5 seconds, just over 3.5 to 60. And get this, one driver's going to bought one, Brad. He got excited. He doesn't drive like me.
He got excited.
When you're sitting beside me, I drive at a nice, sensible speed. I like to keep within the law. But one driver, he got stopped on the Indiana Tollway. How fast are you? If I said he was doing, so the speed limit would be 70 on the tollway. If I said he was doing 90 miles an hour, he'd be naughty, wouldn't he?
Oh, yeah. That's a pretty hefty fine.
Right. If I said he was doing 100 miles an hour and he got stopped by the cops, now he would be in big trouble, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's going to be out of the car and probably visiting the back seat of that patrolman's cruiser.
What if he was doing, you ready, 130 miles an hour? Would he get not only the back seat, the cruiser, but would he get a set of handcuffs as well?
I think you're pretty much right there. Yeah, for sure.
Right, so I reckon this guy must have got all of those things and a taser in just for good measure, because he was stopped on the Indiana Tollway in his car. Remember, this is just a road, doing 160 miles an hour, Brad.
160? Now, that's over double. I would say, Mike, that not only did he get a backseat visit and some new bracelets, but his car probably got a free ride back to the impound lot.
Yeah, he may have lost his car. That'd be a nice follow-up to do, to find out what happened to his car. You know what? If you're driving through France, and it doesn't matter whether you're in a P1 McLaren or whether you're in your Dodge Hellcat or your Dodge Demon or, whatever it is, your Ferrari. If you're driving through France and you break the speed limit at an excessive speed like that, 110, 120 miles an hour, they will take your car from you and they will crush it. It doesn't matter if it owes you $500,000, $1 million. They would take the car away and they would simply crush it. And it's to teach you a lesson. And they video the crushing of these cars. You can look it up on YouTube. It's the saddest sight you'll ever see.
Really?
They don't even take the wheel. Yeah, they don't even take the wheels off. They don't take the stereo out. They don't take, the seats out to save all this stuff. They simply crush them. They crush them to death, these cars, to make a point. Don't come to France and drive like a lunatic.
Now, do they actually do that, or do you think there's some people behind the scenes that just make it look like they were crushed and then they take home the real one?
You know what? That's not a bad thought, is it? There might be some cop dealer out there in France, a gendarme, who's sitting on a mountain of cash where he just keeps swapping out cars. He dresses up a Toyota MR2 with a body kit on it to make it look like a Ferrari 355 and crushes it. Yeah,
exactly.
You never know.
But do they do that even if you have a good excuse? I mean, a really valid excuse, such as
I got stopped. I've got a good excuse. I like this one. So I got stopped by the police once. I was delivering to a customer a Porsche 911 Turbo, may I say. Nice car. It was a Sunday afternoon. I was going up the M40 motorway in England. It was a nice, clear piece of road. It was lovely. And I was, a young man, and I thought, when am I ever going to get a chance to drive a 930 Turbo Porsche? So as I was going to this big open bit of the motorway, I noticed there was nothing in front of me. So I just squeezed on that accelerator a little bit harder than I should have done. And very quickly, a car like that gets to 100 miles an hour in a heartbeat. So there I am, staring down at the speedometer, 100 miles an hour, and I'm blowing through each of the junctions. And as I go past one junction on the hard shoulder of the motorway was a car. And as I went past that car, it lit up like a Christmas tree, and I thought, right, I've just been caught by these cops. So what do I do? Do I lose them? And trust me, I could lose them. I could put my foot down and I'd be off that freeway and gone within a heartbeat, or do the proper thing and I'd pull over. So I did the proper thing and I pulled over, and a good 5 minutes later, the cop pulled up behind me, and it was 4 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon. And the cop got out, walked up to my car, and he said, wow. He said, first of all, thanks for stopping. We'd never have caught you. I said, no, that's okay. I knew I was going too fast. He said, do you know how fast you was going? I said, well, I think I was doing 80. And he went, no. He said, you were in excess of 100 miles an hour. And he said that you're going to lose your license for that. You were going way too fast. And I said, well, I don't think so. Did you have a gun on it? A radar gun? And he went, no. But unfortunately for you, he pointed back at the other his police car. He said, I have a colleague sitting in the car who can verify as well that there's two of us that have seen you driving excessive speed. And I said, okay, well, I can't lose my license. I'm going to lose my job. And he said, look, everyone loves a sob story, but if you can give me an excuse that I've never heard of before, I may, just may, go easy on you. And it took me more than just a second to think of it. And I said to him, well, I thought you were the policeman that ran away with my wife and you were bringing her back to me. And with that, he patted me on the back, told me to drive slower, and sent me on my merry way.
That's a good one.
It was a good one. So anyone out there listening, please use that as an excuse. But it was the funniest thing I could think of. And, that was me. That was me done. I got away with that. And I drove the rest of the journey at 60 miles an hour, nice within the law, so I didn't get pulled again. Talking of speed, okay, so we're talking about speed. So Lincoln, okay, that famous brand Lincoln. In 1993, the Lincoln engineers took an almost stock. It's a Mark 8, isn't it? Mark 5, 111. Is that Mark 8?
A Mark 8, and it's not really a car you think of as. When you look at it, it doesn't reek of speed.
Well, not at all. I mean, we're talking about a big, bloated, overweight, middle-aged, coupe-style sedan, big thing. And it's not probably the best car in the world. Back in 1993, it wouldn't have been the most sought-after car, especially in the American market. This is a big, hefty car. But I suppose Lincoln wanted to make some headlines with that car and get some headline figures. So they went to town with it. They sent their engineers to go to town on it. They didn't actually change the exterior of the car in one little bit, except for two hood pins. I call them bonnet pins, which they put on the car, and they put a roll cage inside. So clearly, with bonnet pins and a roll cage, they wanted this car to go pretty fast.
Yeah.
So a bit like me in that Porsche driving up the freeway, this is a car that can get to speed quite quickly. This car came with an, I'm going to say aluminium, not aluminum, aluminium 4.6-litre V8. It was rated at 295 miles an hour. No big mods were put to the car, just blueprinting, performance plugs, wires. They removed the catalytic converters. They changed the gear ratio to 2.47. They put Goodyear tyres on it from a Corvette, but it had stock air suspension that lowered the car at highway speed. They lowered itself down 22 millimetres, and it was lowered an additional bit of lowering to lower it down to 25 millimetres to reduce the drag coefficient. They added belly pans to the car. It even had a stock interior with a sunroof, and the radio and the old CD player would have worked. Right now, this car...
This might even have been a cassette player in that car, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a cassette. Yeah, we're going back that long ago. It wouldn't have had keep-fit windows. It probably would have had the electric windows back then. But this is pretty much a boring-looking stock Lincoln. But what they did with this car is they took it to a very famous piece of road or piece of track, and they took it to a speed. Now, we spoke about the guy earlier, Brad. Remember the idiot in Indiana?
Yeah, going 160.
Going 160. That's the guy that we reckon got tasered, got his car taken away. For 160 out of one of these Lincoln Mark 8s, yeah, that's ridiculous. You're never going to get that. The thing looks like a flying brick.
Yeah, it does.
At 110, it's going to run out of puff. So if I told you, Brad, that they took this car and they got it up to 182 miles an hour, what would you say about that?
I would say that they squeezed every bit and some that I didn't even think was there out of that car.
Well, do you know what? I love that. I love the fact that these people are just engineers. These are people back at the factory. They've taken a car off the production line. It's very much like, what I'm doing in the garage or you're doing in the garage.
Yeah.
They're taking a car and they're just making it better. They're using all the facilities, all the tools that they've got in their workshop, and they are just making a standard car go a lot better. And to take a stock car like that wouldn't have had any halo or any headline figures, to take that stock car and get it out onto a straight and get it up to 182 miles an hour, it would have gotten some headline figures. No doubt when they were doing this, they were relying on the tools that they had in the workshop.
Yeah, and the thing is that the kind of the story around it was that they didn't even get rewarded for it. When they got home, I guess the executives all went, don't promote it because we're a luxury car company, not a performance car company. I mean, how's that for the engineers that just figured out how to make this car go 182 in almost stock trim?
How sad. How very sad. So if anyone out there has got one of these Lincoln Mark 8s and you want to go quick in it, you're going to need some really good stuff in your workshop. You're going to need some tools. You're going to need some equipment to do it. And that leads us nicely on to a company that have been supporting us, Brad.
That's right, Mechanic. And Mechanic makes the Blade Multi-Light, Mike. I know you've seen this. And if these guys at Lincoln would have had that back then, it would have made their life a lot easier, because when they made this multifunction work light, they wanted to make it not just for working on your car, but something that can come in handy in any pinch. And that's what's so cool about it. The light is a perfect example of Mechanic's commitment to multi-purpose function. I mean, it's not only a great work light, but it's a light blade. So it's ultra thin, it's LED, so that you can get that light into every little crevice in your engine bay, or if you're working around the house, you can, go into just about any place and kind of curve around. But it also has a hook on the end. So, Mike, have you ever been working on your car and you just wish that light that you had, you needed a second set of hands to hold it while you worked? Well, it's got a hook on the end just for that. And,
Perfect.
They think through things at Mechanic, because it has a padded magnet. That avoids the scuffing and the scratches, make it perfect for working around body work or even while changing a tire. But it's even a great emergency light, because not only will those LEDs, you click it once and they're on the brightest setting. Click it again, takes it down a setting. But if you're in an emergency situation and you're out changing a tire on the road, then what you can do, click it and the red lights blink, gives you that emergency. But every other time, it just folds up, easy storage. It'll fit right in your glove box. And price, you're talking about a multifunction light, all LED, and it's rechargeable, so you don't even have to worry about batteries. $34.99. What is that about? What is that? A little over 25 British pounds?
Yeah, it's about 23 quid. I mean, seriously, that's for nothing. I know there's some torches out there from very famous companies and famous names that they've got out there that won't do a fraction of what that torch can do, and they sell them for £120.
Yeah, I know.
$150. Yeah, that's good. That's really good.
No, our friends at Mechanic, they keep coming up with great stuff, Mike.
They do, and I want to thank them for supporting our podcast. You can find out more at mechanic.com. And, we rely on the support of people like that so we can bring you this podcast each week. And if you've got a product or anything you want to promote, then please do get in touch with us at Mike Brewer Behind the Wheel. You'll find us all across social media. So, Brad, here we are, me and you this week. It's all about speed. It's all about going fast. We want to go as quickly as we can. We're going to get to Miami to go and see the Formula One race. We're going to leave at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. We're going to drive 2,700 miles, and we're going to be there by lunchtime so we can watch the qualifying. We've already worked that out in our Dodge Demon. And then we're just talking about Lincoln wanting to go as quick as they can in their car. And they took that car to 182 miles now. Now, me and Brad will tell you, do not take your car and go out there on a public road and start drag racing. Please don't do that. There are places in this planet, in the world, where you can go and take your car to a place that's nice and safe, open the taps up, and really go for it. Hell for leather, put your foot down. There's racetracks, drag strips all across the planet. There'll be one in your local area. Just look it up where you can do it safely. But the most famous place on the planet, in fact, you can see it from space, has got to be the Bonneville Salt Flats. This is amazing, this place. It's just west of Salt Lake City, Utah. 57 square miles of just pure salt that's so flat and so smooth that it's held land speed record attempts for almost a century. We've had Thrust 1, Thrust 2, the fastest cars in the world, both achieved their records there. Absolutely amazing place. It was used since 1912, so over 100 years. Became really popular in the 1930s. And this is a place that you're really fond of, Brad. I
am. It's one of those places that's almost mythic. It's held, as you said, so many land speed records. The Blue Flame went out there. The Meteor, which came out of Salt Lake City and really put it on the map, so to speak. But the Bonneville Salt Flats is one of those places where you can stand out there, and I've done it, and you can actually see the curvature of the earth. It's kind of weird, Mike, because you stand out there and it is so darn flat that you can see, and it's so massive that you can see it. Now, it's about 700 miles north of Los Angeles, so we could get there a little bit faster than if we had one of those Dodge Demons. We could get there fast and then go fast on the salt. But Mike, it is, and I've been there, and to watch the cars go, it's so massive. The one bad thing about it is that when you're standing 3-4 miles away, you don't really get that sense of speed. It's because they're so far away. But the speed and the cars and the technology is phenomenal out there. It's just, it really is a place worth going. But I will tell you a really quick story of one thing not to do, and that's not to drive your rental car out on the salt. Because when I returned mine, they weren't too happy. They wanted to charge me $500 to clean my rental car because it was caked with salt in the wheel housings and all underneath. So I opted to go to the quarter car wash, clean it myself, and bring it back. And it's a neat place. There's no other place.
If you're a car guy, if you're traveling to America or you're in the States or you're coming here for a holiday, put it on your bucket list. It's one of those places you have to visit on the planet, not only for the sheer nature of it all, the spectacle to see the curvature of the earth. But if you can time it around an event, and there's an event on there most weeks, you'll turn up and you'll see people going flat out as fast as they can on 1920 motorcycles or 1950 motorcycles that they've streamlined and, put these bodies on them that just look like they're jets. Or you'll see people in their cars with jet engines going as fast as they possibly can. And, it's a real place. It's something that you can just turn up and go and visit. If you're going to go, take safety precautions. It is basically a white surface in the middle of the desert. So take plenty of sunscreen. Make sure you lather that all over your body. Take a good pair of sunglasses. It's so bright out there. But just enjoy it. Take a good pair of binoculars as well. That's my suggestion. Just go and enjoy it. What an amazing place. You're absolutely right. And I'm going to give you a first-hand account. Make sure you put that sunscreen on the bottom of your nose, where your nostrils are. Because, like you said, Mike, it's like standing on a mirror. And you can actually get burned on the bottom of your nose because it's reflecting up all day. And it's one of those things you never consider until you get back to the hotel and your nose is burning. Yes. Well, all good advice, and this week was all about speed. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. Me and Brad have been on this journey. We hope you've enjoyed this journey with us about speed. But now I'm just going to take the brakes off, or put the brakes on, shall I say, just for a little moment, because I've got a viewer's question. I love the viewer's questions. We like those. To keep them coming, they're really easy to post up. You just put them onto our social media feeds. You can find us, Mike Brewer Behind the Wheel, on Twitter, Facebook, or on our website. And you can find Brad all over the internet as well. Where can they find you, Brad? They can find me most places at Brad Fanshaw, but on Instagram, it's at BondspeedBrad. Perfect. Okay, so this week, we've got one of our fans who loves our podcast. He's given it a 5-star rating and a really good review. And he's a top man, actually. His name's Josh Garrett. Been a big fan of many of the things that I've done for many years. And I've met him a few times. He's a really cool guy. And he's reached out to us on Mike Brewer Behind the Wheel, and he's asked me a question. And he says, what do I like to see at the various car shows and concours shows that I've attended? Is it the car culture, the car people? What is the aspect that you really get out of it? Well, that's a really good question, Josh. I've been at many events with Brad all over this planet. And do you know the one thing I get out of it? And, car shows are about cars. They are about cars. But the one thing I get out of it is the people. It's the people that bring those cars along. Because I just recently attended a concours event, and it was beautiful. And there were cars there that would emblazon the bedroom wall of any Hollywood mansion. They were just exquisite, beautiful cars. But 9 out of the 10 cars there were just put together in a guy's garage, at home, at the weekend, panel beating, spraying, engineering, manipulating, mechanicking, all done in the home garage, just purely for the love, the enthusiasm, and the passion of doing it. And I love that aspect of these concours and car events. I love going to see a car that you think should be sat in a museum somewhere, belonging to Ferrari, Porsche, Pagoda, or whatever it is. You'll go to these events, but there'll always be some regular guy standing next to that car who's put his life and soul into it and his passion into it. And that's what I get out of going to car shows. What about you, Brad? Well, I have to agree with all of that. And I think one of the greatest things about car shows is when you go, you absolutely know that you're going to have something in common. Have you ever been to a party where you just don't have anything in common with anybody, and it's hard to start up a Wait a minute, what am I saying? You're Mike Brewer. You always can start up a conversation. Well, me, I can't always start up a conversation. But at a car show, I darn well know I can, because I have something in common, no matter if that guy's the CEO of some big corporation or a guy who has come to his first car show ever. Because we all love cars, right? We certainly do. We certainly do. And that's what this podcast is all about, Brad. And that is a very nice little segue to next week's podcast, when I'm going to be coming and reporting almost live from the brilliant Seal Beach Car Show. This is down on a main street in Southern California. All these guys that we're talking about, that Josh asked me the question about, they bring their cars out, they park them down the street, right onto the ocean, right onto the seafront where the pier is, and it's an absolutely amazing little car show to go and visit. So I'm going to be doing a post from there, a report from there, and we're going to be putting that into our next podcast. So I hope you enjoy that. Again, me and Brad want to thank you for coming along this journey. We want to thank Mechanic. You can check them out, mechanic.com. Thank you, Josh Garrett, to your question. Brilliant. And I want to thank, personally, my co-presenter who sits beside me on this journey in the car every week. He never clutches onto his seatbelt. He doesn't adjust the radio. He doesn't fiddle with the air conditioning. He just chats away, doing what I love best. He talks about cars, and that's Mr. Brad Fanshaw.
Well, thanks, Mike. And I'm always having a good time. And you know what? When you're having a good time, you don't pay attention to anything else. So it's always a good ride.
Of course you don't. Of course you don't. Now, don't forget, you can find us on social media all over the place. Mike Brewer Behind the Wheel, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, on our website as well. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. It's really easy to do. Just click that subscribe button. The reason we're asking you to do that is because we're posting up new podcasts every week. And if you want to keep abreast of what we're talking about, you get alerted to it. So it will give you a notification that we've put up another podcast. If you don't mind, give us a 5-star rating. That'd be really handy. We have become the world's #1 automotive podcast, and we are very, very proud of that. But to keep us there, we do need those subscriptions and that 5-star rating. And if you can give us a good rating and a positive review, then me and Brad have got a special prize for you, because we have teamed up with none other than the Hunziger family from Hunziger Design, and they're going to give us a pair of their famous Hunziger drive-in shoes. These are the ones that you would have seen me wear at events. I've got the Golf ones, or the Lotus ones, or the McQueen ones. They do Martini racing shoes. You can look them up online, which is hunzigerdesign.com. And they have said if we can choose, me and Brad can choose, the best review of the week and positive comment that we get, and whoever we think gives the best one, we will send you a free pair of shoes worth hundreds of dollars. Isn't that bad? That's not bad, is it?
Hey, can I be eligible for that? Can I do a review?
No, you can't. No, you can't.
Darn it.
No, you can't. No, it's for those people out there, so we want to thank hunziger.com for doing that.
Yeah,
That's
thank you very much.
Brilliant. That's great. And do you know what? I reckon if it works, we might be able to get another pair of shoes out of them as well. So we could do it again. So remember, subscribe on iTunes, 5-star rating, give us a positive comment. Me and Brad go through them. We'll choose the best one. And you're going to get a free pair of Hunziger shoes. So congratulations. Right, that's it, Brad. We are at the end of our journey. Did you enjoy that?
I did. I had a great time talking about fast cars. I mean, how can you not have a good time talking about fast cars?
Oh, do you know what? And it's gone, if you pardon the pun, ever so quickly. It's come to an end. So
it has.
So time to turn the motor off, call the jets, and me and Brad see you all again next time. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye. This show brought to you in part by Bond Speed Wheels. Bond Speed Wheels, machined in America for cars, trucks, hot rods, and exotics. We make wheels for your lifestyle. Find us at bondspeedwheels.com.
If you need to get in touch with me or Brad, you can do. Ask us any question you like about motoring issues or a motoring related thing. If you've got something that you want to do to your car and you don't know how to do it, you want to sell your car, you want to advertise your car, you want to buy a car and you need some advice, then please reach out to us. You can find us on Twitter at Mike Brewer BTW. See what we did there? Genius.
Is that for behind the wheel?
It is. There you go.
Wow, how did you come up with that?
It's so good, isn't it? And we'll see you all next week.
This has been a Bond Speed Media production from Circle B Studios. If you like this show, also listen to Shift and Steer, Man Seeks Adventure, and Dixon's Wild Ride. You can subscribe to them on iTunes or visit their websites. If you'd like to reach Bond Speed Media, you can do so at bondspeedmedia@gmail.com.